12th. And if we can also do introductions, Chaz Rudich,
Jerry Dua.
Joyce Macheros.
Maggie Malley.
Evelyn Noyce.
Minutes from the June 18th meeting for review. This public notice says this
Yes.
is the annual meeting. No, it says annual meeting, October 15th.
Whoops.
This isn't, right?
It is not the annual meeting.
Okay, good. All right.
Good catch, though. Thank you for that, Joy.
and then make the motion that we accept the minutes from the June 18th meeting.
Aye.
And there is a partial list of expenditures since the June 18th meeting for review.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, sure.
I assume that the staples is for the stuff that you need. I just saw a mason truck out here. Does the school have a contract with them?
The school does seem to use WB Mason. The Council on Aging has used Staples for a number of
I
years.
was just wondering if they had a discount for,
No, we do get a number of incentives.
Oh,
It's
from
been in use,
Staples.
yeah, the COA has had an
Oh, okay.
account for quite a long time,
right?
a number of years, so it does seem to be reasonable.
Any other questions about the expenditures?
Make a motion to accept it as presented.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Staff and volunteer needs, I was just thinking about that before we started. We have, just last week, had, how many do we have? 4 new volunteers coming on board, property tax workout volunteers. It is great, who will be doing various projects and regular maintenance work for the Council on Aging, which is great. Some of the volunteers will do friendly visits, reassurance phone calls or wellness calls, which is a nice way to put it. Data entry. You notice the expenditure for my senior center, the annual subscription for my senior center, which is the Council on Aging database that needs regular updating. So one of the volunteers, two of them actually, are going to do database maintenance, which would be great. And another volunteer may be an alternative driver for the van. And I was looking back to the minutes from the annual meeting, and the food pantry was noted that we haven't, and still, even after, since June, have had no calls about going to the food pantry, although we do hear that people are going, but not in huge numbers.
Oh, that's amazing.
But we, it's in the back of our mind, in the back of my mind, perhaps having the alternative backup driver do a Friday afternoon to the food pantry run if needed. Since we met, the program with the library, the Newbury Town Library, for deliveries to folks, residents who are housebound, either for a short period of time or for a long-term period, started in August on Friday mornings at the moment, with a staff person from the library, which is great, and the COA van and driver, and that's going nicely, and I think they've added one client or so as they've gone out and word of mouth, and the library is really administrating the program to determine eligibility. Residents call the library to find out. So, but it's a nice cooperative effort to use a town-owned vehicle for that, and a couple of folks who have called the Council on Aging are very thankful for the program. So it's not just books, but DVDs and other material. So
You listed, you said 4 new volunteers and friendly visits, food pantry, alternative driver. What was the one before that?
I mentioned a couple of the new volunteers will be doing data entry, to keep the database up to date.
I think there was another one.
Friendly visits and
An alternative
telephone
driver.
reassurance calls, wellness calls.
And on these friendly visits, how are they doing the guidelines?
They do. The outreach case manager, Janet, created a training program. We had 2 sessions. Some of the volunteers couldn't make it for the first one, so she offered 2 to go through a variety of things. Protocol, appropriateness, boundaries, all of a number of the variety of things that would potentially come up with a visit in person. Of course, all the volunteers are quarried, the criminal records check, and Janet, the outreach case manager, will be doing the matching of friendly visitors with clients, with residents who would like it. Not everyone, when it's suggested, is interested, but some residents are. So she'll be doing that because it really is outreach related. So she's kind of taken over Council on Aging property tax work-off volunteers. which is great.
On an average, how many, people do we have a year, say, that on the work off the tax bill?
There are roughly 15 this year. I should have prepared that number. The season is coming to a close. The property tax work-off year ends October 31st. And then hours begin accruing again on November 1st.
Okay, so how many hours are we allotted?
100.
100 hours? And how many hours and how many people would you think have a need for this tax write-off?
We just, interestingly, just late summer, early fall, we've had some fresh interest in the program. So some of these folks were in the works, some of these new four. But we've had, I think I have 3 in the office that are in the process. I think there were about 15 for this program year. And the abatement for 100 hours at the moment is $11 per hour. So it's an $1,100 tax abatement. I think it's off the 3rd quarter tax bill.
And how are these people chosen?
They reach out to the Council on Aging. I send them an application, which includes the COA form, confidentiality form, those things, with a request about their interests. Not every town department has a need.
I meant, is there an income level here on your
There
application?
is no longer. There used to be, but that was, the selectmen reviewed that in January of 2017. And did away with an income eligibility requirement and a years of residency requirement. Used to be
So it's
5
just
years.
by interest? So
Just by
somebody
interest.
could apply and give
Yes.
100 hours and get $1,100 after taxes?
Yes, there are the assessor and the town clerk, I'm sorry, not the town clerk, the town treasurer and the assessor. Once I've processed the application, once the Council on Aging processes the application,
Oh, so all applications come through here?
yes.
Oh, okay.
And then residents will go and meet with the treasurer to do a few extra documents that are specific. For the purposes of the program, residents are considered town employees.
Right.
So they go to
So
the
you
treasurer.
have from November 1st to next October 31st to complete the 100 hours?
Yes. And with some departments, folks may, and depending on your availability, may reach 100 hours in the middle of the year. Some folks continue to volunteer. The library also has more than a couple of volunteers.
Did you
and the
use
council.
them as members of the council?
I'm sorry?
Did you use them if they volunteered to be members of this Council on Aging? Would that,
On the board?
yeah.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Okay, so for all intents and purposes, this program is really not reaching the need group. People that need to stay in their homes need tax reductions.
Not specifically. There was an income eligibility guideline previous to 2017. The residency requirement, what else? It used to be 5 years, but we had a few people inquire about the program who'd lived here less than 5 years. So the selectmen reviewed that also. It is open as long as a person is on the deed. You know, the assessors, the principal assessor and her assistant take a look at that to make sure that the
Megan was saying-
applicant is attached to the property, associated legally with the property.
So this 100 hours is not per person.
It is per person.
It is
is
per
per
person.
Yes.
So how many, what is the total? Did I write that down?
I
total
think you did
hours.
$1,100, at the moment, $1,100 for 100 hours of work, of volunteer.
But I guess I'm trying to figure out the,
How many hours did the council get?
yeah.
But you said you had 4 people.
Oh, yes, it could be broken down by department. How many volunteers, per department,
What I'm,
and how
Oh,
many
I'm sorry,
hours.
No, no.
you finished.
How many
That's okay.
hours of work
it's,
that is.
what I'm trying to figure out is how many hours are dedicated to the tax write-off? How many elderly are taking advantage of that?
You do have to be over 60
Yeah,
to participate,
yeah.
60 and older. And I think that there were about 15 in the program this year.
Okay, so 15 people do 100 hours.
I can get you the firm number though. Who will be, who come the end of this program year for October 31st, how many people participate?
Does the town set a cap? I think that's what you might be asking. Is there a maximum number of volunteers that can apply to the program?
Right, and I don't know that that has been addressed because Newbury hasn't had a huge
Not a lot of people.
response, exactly. I mean, I know some of our neighboring towns don't have a cap because they like all of the volunteer help they can get, for a variety
Does
of
it
things.
still require that you have to do something different, like the town clerk, she is trained people, can they go back there every year?
They can, and that's where with the application process and in speaking with a resident about what they might like to do,
Yeah.
it's kind of all across the board what people might be interested in, and then some of the things that are needed by various departments are somewhat mundane, could be considered, like making copies, but, so far, for example, for the town clerk, has been able to keep the volunteer who's been trained,
That's good.
because
That's
then
very good.
some of the volunteer opportunities do require a fair bit of training, and others don't. I mean, it really does run.
Well, I think ours do.
They do, exactly, which is why it was nice that Janet took it on for the Council on Aging and came up with a training, crafted the training around the sensitive issues that the Council on Aging has. And that's certainly true of a number of other town departments. Whatever you're dealing with during work hours needs to remain confidential. You may be exposed to a lot of, as you know, particularly with the Council on Aging, there's a lot of sensitive information
Exactly.
about residents. So it was a good training to have.
And regarding that training coming up in November, what was that date again?
I want to say it's the 9th,
It's that
Friday
the
9th.
first Friday of November.
I think it was Friday the 9th. This is through the Executive Office of Elder Affairs,
Yep.
a board training.
I'm sorry, it was
To review-
second Friday.
Did you get mine?
I did.
Oh, good.
I did.
November 9th from 9 to 12 is what I remember.
Right. Yes. And that will be in Rowley.
And I can do that, so if you,
Okay.
is it too late to sign?
No, I'm sure it's not. I will let her know this afternoon.
Council on Aging in Raleigh.
In Rowley, they are just off of 133. The post office, the pharmacy in Rowley,
Yes.
and the post office is just down from that. If you take, going toward Ipswich, if you take that right, they are just a hop and a skip down the road. That's not terribly descriptive, is it?
Well, if you get a chance, just send me.
I will.
an
I will send
email.
you. I
Or
will.
I can look them up probably online.
It's an interesting old building
Okay.
that the council on
I'll-
Aging is in.
I'll take
Just
care
past
of
the
it.
Grange. There's a Grange on the right
Alright.
side, and they're in a large, wonderful old.
I'll find
building.
it. I'll look it up on there. You got enough to do.
No, I don't mind. And the director there will send out a reminder, I'm
Oh,
sure.
that's great.
It's nice of them to offer to host it.
Yes.
It's nice to know what is part of it, to know that it's not just
Exactly. So anyway, I just wanted to update you about the volunteers. This is a nice thing. There used to be, along the lines of your questions, Evelyn, there was a 2 volunteer cap per department, also pre-2017. So we're very fortunate because we can utilize for, some of these projects are so few hours. Like the monitor on the van, a few hours a week. That isn't really paid position. It would be hard, the chunks of time during that take up a good chunk of the day doesn't allow people to do, a lot of other things during the day, so it's ideal for a volunteer and for the property tax work-off program.
So like this weekly shopping trip right here, there's a good solution by adding the monitor.
Exactly. So we'll be having a new monitor beginning. She went out on just a trial run last week, and she'll be going out tomorrow. The monitor we have had on the van, who's been wonderful, needs to step back. She has other things that need her attention. So this will be good. It's good to have. And then one of the volunteers would be a backup to the monitor. It's nice for the driver to have some help, have a little assistance on the van. And we had talked about that at the annual meeting also, about shopping trips, protocol, the number of bags, how to keep track of this. And that's an ongoing project. This is an apt time to look at that, having a new volunteer starting on the van. So I think
Funny, I never gave thought to how many bags I have.
Especially the plastic ones.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have plastic anymore in Newbury, but the cloth ones, they can get pretty heavy.
Right.
it's true, and you don't really think about it. And I went when the
Ah.
volunteer wasn't able to go one Tuesday this summer. I went along in the van, and yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to cart. On one of those good hot days, so I had fresh appreciation for not only the driver but the volunteer. The volunteer keeps track of folks in the store if they need some help in the store, finding something. But the bags are.
So where do they put them in the van?
They put them in the back, and they've had a couple of different systems that they've tried. Color coding with clothespins. I think we talked about that briefly in June. I haven't landed on anything.
That's the bank
Ideal.
one year for our gifts. They gave us stuff that goes in your trunk and it opens up into 3 bins. So they're all separate. And it fits a lot of things. I wonder if they could use something like that.
It's interesting the way the van is designed, because the back of the van is where there is one wheelchair station, if you will. One whole half the van is 12-person, 2 rows of 2 seats each. 2 rows, 3 of 2 seats. One whole side, those seats lift up, so you could fit actually 3 wheelchairs on one side of the van. But at the back of the van, where you can load in the groceries, it's just, well, it holds them, but it's, bungee cords back there. But as far as putting something in there, it's how to keep it
Yeah, because these
secure.
fold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Folding would be great. The
Then they
issue-
open up in the back of your trunk and it's 3 separate bins.
and it's very
So
organized.
this will hold 2 bags, this will hold 2 bags, this will hold 2 bags.
Right. Which is very organized.
So they sell stuff, I'm just saying that.
which I should look into.
Yeah, in fact,
It's-
I'll drop off mine so you can see it.
That would be great. The issue of a training that I attended with the driver was on securement. So not only wheelchair securement and passenger securement with the crossbody seat belts and the belt, the lap belt, but also securing anything that's brought on the van. You know, in the case, heaven forbid, of even a low speed accident or a rollover, which is what they want you to think about in the training. Everything can potentially become
A projectile.
a weapon, exactly. A point of injury. So that is definitely something to.
Bet they have the overheads like on a
Seriously,
plane.
yeah. And there isn't any.
Design.
There isn't, or like a Greyhound bus having an
Underneath,
exterior underneath storage
Yes,
space.
That would be great.
Because, I mean, we're certainly not the only council on aging, not the only
Right.
town to utilize its senior van for grocery shopping, or, the Walmart trips once a month or so. And it does
That's
get
a big
expensive.
And just for your
Stores.
interest, the bags, like the Institution for Savings gives those nice quilted bags.
Mhm.
If anybody needs them, I just go in and ask, I'll give them to you for free. Yeah.
That is nice. I didn't know that. That's very nice. A number of folks do use the reusable bags on it from Market
Oh, yeah,
Basket.
I love these. It's also wonderful on the beach trip.
I think that they're, for the purposes of the van, they're simpler to keep track of.
Yeah,
They at least have some shape. If they're in plastic bags, they're so kind of amorphous
Love
that
it.
they're right, they roll around. I think it would be simpler to contemplate using the bungee cords and scooping in, which is something I actually do in my car, in the back of my car, if I need everything to stand upright. I'll use a bungee cord through the handles of the reusable bags and hook them onto the headrests of the seats in front. And it keeps them upright. Now, how to translate that to the van?
Yeah.
There are hooks. There are certainly hooks in the back of the van for the wheelchairs, for extra seat belts, things like that. So we should do a field trip. So we can take a look, because I think other eyes on the van
Yes.
will come up with ideas that we perhaps haven't thought of. So, and again, having a new volunteer, she might come up with some other suggestions.
Well, I'm so glad they have some help, and glad the driver has some help.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that the Friends group hasn't met yet this fall, but is doing the GPS unit, standalone unit for the van, which would just be nice to have, with a fairly reasonably sized
It's a
screen.
Garmin.
What's that?
It's a Garmin.
I think it is.
Yeah. They're pretty good.
That, can have audio, or, she can't look at it, so, unless she's at a stoplight. So that will be a nice addition. So it's great to have new volunteers. Council on Aging. And then there are some other folks other property tax volunteers who, other departments will hopefully be as gung-ho as we are. As we are moving into autumn, my colleague Gail is working on the newsletter going out for November, December. Trips, since it's been, probably almost a year now since we've added more regular field trips on Thursdays. It used to be more occasional, but we have at least 2 a month anyway, and are now using the van for guest chef luncheons, which we have once a month at the senior center, to pick folks up. And we have somewhat a regular crew who are coming, who would like a ride. What's I going to say? With the election coming up, we'll advertise rides on the 6th of November. And then, holiday things. Looking at holiday things. The COA will have a party for all seniors in Newbury. I can't remember the date, early December. And this will be at the Newburyport Council on Aging space, rental space, their party space. So it's hard to believe it's the end of the year.
I know it is.
Blows my mind.
It definitely speeds up.
Now, do we offer van rides for any of the early voting?
We haven't, but I think that we didn't have any requests for it last
Well,
go
because
around.
they're
But
really not aware,
Right.
I was just thinking it'd be less stressful. It's not as busy on the early
Right.
voting.
and that's something we haven't even proofread the newsletter yet, but we can certainly take a look at
Yeah,
the
just pick a
town's
day.
schedule and pick a
Yeah.
day. It would be less stressful, right? I noticed when I was at the town offices that it's quite a schedule of early voting opportunities, so thank you for that. Great idea.
Well, it's on the website anyway.
It's on the
I don't
website,
have
right.
it.
It is nice to take advantage of that, though. And beyond that, don't have anything outstanding to mention in this moment. Any other questions or comments, suggestions?
No, but when you're planning your luncheons, the guy who bought the restaurant in Essex
Oh, yes.
promises me that he's not gonna change anything at least for the next year.
Oh,
So it's okay to lunch there.
At the
That's
village.
great, yeah.
Mark, you can't change that. You understand, the ladies love going there. He said, you know what, I've been looking at the numbers, he said, and I don't have a plan of changing anything right now.
Okay. All right, what does he own in Newburyport?
No,
The deck,
it's
What's
the
it?
deck.
the deck,
The deck.
and all the marinas over there.
That'll be nice. Yeah, the Village restaurant in Essex is, they've been
He was
going
like,
there for
we were having
years.
this, it's amazing how much revenue that place was.
At the Village.
Yes.
I used to go to the Village when I was a kid. That's how long it goes back. So that will be nice because it's a nice little field trip. It's nice and short,
Right.
but it's a nice destination.
I just have one question on Janet's cases. How many does she have currently?
I don't know, but I will find out. She has outreach case manager, Janet, has done, she's doing quite a bit. It's been an uptick over this year. Calls with questions. Anytime someone new shows up on the Meals on Wheels recipient list, she reaches out just to introduce the Council on Aging and see if there's something else that someone might be interested in, services, places that, we could refer them to, other agencies. So she's doing quite a bit. She did attend a workshop this summer for social workers, just on a variety of topics appropriate for social workers and in the elder services world. Yeah.
One other question I have, based on involvement with activities, I know from time to time the discussion comes up regarding senior citizen center. Do you think with what we have warrants a separate senior citizen center?
I think that's been a question that has perplexed my predecessors,
Yeah.
because it doesn't, I think, with this current space. That is not to say that it couldn't increase and perhaps attract,
You would have to you'd have to be with another agency or some entity, or you really couldn't support a center. We just gotta think of the upkeep.
well, I don't think it would need to be a lofty space. I don't think it would need to be, Newburyport size, for example, and the population doesn't warrant something that size. But I think some of the limitations of the current senior center,
Yeah.
we don't
We
have
talked
private
about,
space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really could use a couple more rooms.
Right, some more private space. We can have a board meeting with the door shut and the video camera. It's a complex question. Or I should say
It
that
has to be an add-on to some other building that they built.
Right.
That would work financially, but any other way, you have no means to support a freestanding building, if you think about it.
Possibly. I mean, I think it depends on what entity would want to build.
Well, Salisbury, they were over with the fire department, but are they a separate building from the fire station? I think they are.
Okay. They used to be in that historical building. They moved over? I didn't know that.
Who did? They have some interesting space and
Yeah.
fairly sizable
It is.
for their needs. There are two or three of our Merrimack Valley neighbors. One is doing a full and quite extensive renovation and addition.
Merrimack has a decent space, that big old,
Yes.
but that's utilized too, a lot. I can't believe how much stuff they have going in there.
I mean, I think, the more versatile the space, the more it could be used.
I think our problem is the 3 towns. It's actually 3 towns within the town.
Yeah,
Certainly,
certainly
did you
plays
utilize
into it.
Newburyport this summer? Were you in Newburyport at all for their functions or their?
Oh, just once or twice.
Once or twice.
But they're busy. I mean,
Yeah,
and now every ounce of available space is being used, or they're renting it out to somebody.
Right, they do rent it out, which
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah, like that little place in the front, and I think the radio station, which is now new or whatever is there.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right, they've really seemed to have
They've
embraced
marketed
that
it well.
as a town space. It's senior space, but it's also community space.
What does Raleigh have? I'll see in November.
You will see, they have challenging space.
Yeah.
They're on the second floor
Oh, my goodness, it's
of an old building, and I don't remember if they have an elevator. And there are other town offices in this building where they are. It's not town hall, but it's adjacent.
When you build fresh, and you're not utilizing space already built, is there a mandate per person?
I don't know, I'm sure the Executive Office of Elder Affairs and the Mass Councils on Aging certainly have suggestions and guidelines to follow, just from their experience of how many feet per user. It would be a nice resource for that. One of the other, we had a meeting of Merrimack Valley directors not long ago, and one of our neighbors is getting a new senior center that is part of a package for the town. So there will be affordable housing, and the senior center is
Part of it, yeah, it's an add-on.
is an add-on, yeah, which is wonderful. And that also will be community space, senior and community space. Another neighbor is also getting quite a large need. I think that's been in the works for quite a long time. I don't know that it's attached to another project. But they have a population that can support it, and is very active. And that's been a number of years in the works. So it's not a quick turnaround thing. Will take years. I will be a participant.
Anything else? Our next meeting will be on November the 19th at 1 o'clock.
You should guess person for the election in November.
I don't know who it is for November. For this month, it's Joe Murphy, who was the head custodian here at the elementary school for a number of years. I think people are becoming familiar with his culinary skills. So he's terrific. He's a great friend of the Council on Aging, that's for sure.
And we'll close the meeting at 1:53.